So this etiquette number 26, be generous with your food. So you have the hadith in front of you. It's a command from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, a recommendation in fact. So he said that when one of you cooks meat, increase the water and feed your neighbors. So basically the purpose here that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is saying that you should be generous with your food, you should share with your food, and if you cannot afford to share food with others, try to increase the quantity by adding water. So if you add water and mix it, it's going to look as if it's a lot, right? It's going to look as if it's a lot, and you can divide it and share it with others, inshallah. So that's the whole point. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam also said that food for one is sufficient for how many? For two, is it not? So you have to be generous basically. Don't feel that your food is, if somebody shares with it, it's going to decrease. No, it's not going to happen, because Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he mentioned that one of the etiquettes, again this one is very, very important, that this one can increase the blessing in your food when you share it with others, when you're generous with your food. And there's so many, whenever I take classes with my shuyukh, they always mention that whenever they try to be generous, whenever the guests come or anything like that, they know that it's very low in quantity, but because of their generosity, they observe, they can experience that they have that blessing or barakah in the food. And in fact, many people are able to eat from that small quantity. I've heard it from many shuyukh. And this, if you really, if you have in your heart that I need to be very generous and don't care about all these fancy things about how many different kinds of food it should be and so on, so you don't have to worry about it. And also it mentions that, that other hadith that I mentioned, the quantity of eating should be less. That's why he said food for one is sufficient for two, and we already covered that part, right? So let's look at another one. Responding to the invitation of your brother. So if your friend or if your relative or if any Muslim brother invites you, what should you say? You should accept the invitation. Okay, that's one of the 6 rights of a Muslim. If somebody says salam, you reply. If somebody sneezes, you say yarhamakullah in return. And if somebody seeks advice, you give them advice. It's a right of a Muslim. And if they are sick, you visit them. And if they if they are getting buried, and if the janazah prayer is there, anything like that related to funerals, you participate in that. So these are the rights. And one of the rights again is that if somebody invites you, you have to accept that invitation. Okay, you have to accept that invitation. Obviously there will be some exceptions and other things as well involved in it. What if you are, for example, it's the month of Shaban and people are like very much into fasting now this month, because Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to fast a lot in this particular month after Ramadan. So what if you are fasting and if somebody says, after Dhuhr Salah, for example, brother, why don't you come for lunch? So what should you do? What should you do?
You should go and save your lunch and eat it for iftar.
Subhanallah. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in fact mentioned this. He mentioned that if you are fasting, he should supplicate for the betterment of the host. He should make dua. That's what Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said. And if he is not fasting, then he should eat. If he is not fasting, he should eat. This is a hadith in Sahih Muslim. Right? So yeah. In fact, I used to do that. When we used to have every Friday lunch in our company, right? Once a month, every Friday. So that happened to be in Ramadan. So everybody went for lunch. And I was fasting, and it was used to be very nice, delicious food in a very fancy restaurant. So I used to tell my boss and the restaurant guy, pack it up for me. I'll eat in iftar. So I don't want to miss it. So alhamdulillah, no problem, inshallah. So. Sorry?
That's what we do during seminars in Ramadan.
Seminars? Oh yeah. Yeah. So another one, uninvited guests, right? So if somebody invites you and you go, but you want to take a friend of yours with you, and so can you take him with you to your host who invited you? Is it okay? So there are two things here. First, if you know that this host will not mind you taking the person, then it is no problem. Especially this happens in like weddings or walima or nikah. There are a lot of people, and 400 people, one additional person won't mind. And if it's your best friend, you know it basically. But according to the hadith in Sahih al-Bukhari, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, this happened to him actually one time. One person invited Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he told the Prophet that I invite you and 4 other people with you, any 4 people. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he went along with 4 people, but there was this one additional person who was not invited, the 5th person basically. So when the Prophet arrived at the door, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said to the host, this person has followed us. You may allow him if you like, or if you like, he will return. So basically, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he is asking permission. He's basically, the whole purpose here is that you don't want to put pressure at the host, right? And he might feel uncomfortable that I made only for 4. Now we have to make all kinds of adjustment for these more people. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is teaching us etiquette, that assess the situation and ask if adding this new person won't really harm him, or he doesn't have to make a lot of adjustment. So, but this particular person in this time, he said that I'll allow him to also. So they all went and ate. But now alhamdulillah we have phones and everything. Just make a call and ask permission. That's important. That can I bring this one additional person? That's from the etiquettes, right? And if they say no, what do we do? No, your additional guest is not invited. We should not feel bad. That's also an etiquette, that obviously he only invited for some people, and if he cannot take more people, maybe there's no space, or maybe there's not much food available, so you should not mind and accept it. And unfortunately in the culture, it is considered, many cultures, it is considered very bad that you cannot say no. It's very bad. So don't worry about it, and if people say, it's not a big deal. Number 28. So same thing, if somebody invites you, you have to make dua for it. So just like when you before eating and after eating, and breaking iftar, right? There are a lot of duas like that. And similarly, dua when you complete eating at the place where you are invited, you make dua for the guest, for the host. Allahumma barik lahum fima razaqtahum waghfir lahum warhamhum. Very beautiful dua. Oh Allah, bless for them that which you have provided them. Whatever you have provided them, bless them with it, and forgive them, and have mercy upon them. Right? Very easy. So applies to many different things. Iftar, even a combined iftar, for example, right? People want to sponsor, you still make the same dua, even if there are multiple people. What if your friend invites you, like for example, to a restaurant, and he pays your bill? Still qualifies the same dua, right? Even though he didn't cook, even though he didn't do anything, you still make dua because he was responsible for your food. He paid the bill. All right, another one. Etiquette number 29. Covering your food at night. It's interesting. Many people don't know this. So it's an authentic hadith. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he mentioned that the full hadith goes like this, that he said, when night falls, cover your eating utensils and seal your water skins and close your doors and turn off your lamps. For shaitan does not open the seal of your water skins, nor does he open doors, nor does he uncover the eating utensils. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is indicating that there are certain ways which shaitan can take advantage of and might affect your food. He might eat your food, or sometimes he might not notice the the quantity getting less, but he can eat and you will still see the same levels, or he can even harm your food, right? He can do anything to the food because he has access to it. He can do many things. And so that's why Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he's saying that cover your food and close the door also, and all recite all those du'as and everything, and also by chance he is still able to get in, you still cover the food so that he doesn't harm the food that you have. And also there is another hadith in Sahih Muslim in which he said that, this is interesting, he said, cover the utensils used for eating and drinking, because there will be a night during the year during which an epidemic will fall. The disease, widespread disease will fall. Whenever such epidemic will pass by an uncovered eating or drinking utensils, it shall infect it. It shall infect it. So we don't know what that day is, but there are days assigned, and particularly night, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends an epidemic everywhere. Whatever it might be flu, or there are seasons, right? So things like that. So it happens at night, and this particular epidemic, so Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is saying, particularly at night, you cover your food items. Okay, you cover your food items. Things like, you don't have to cover things like bananas, fruits, and something that you can wash, it can be open, but anything that you cannot wash, it should be covered, like the food usually. All right, and plastic wrap, or just put plate at least. That's how we do it. Okay, let's look at another one. This is a very important one. Avoiding extravagance in food. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He mentioned in Surah Al-A'raf, verse number 31. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. يا بني آدم خذوا زينتكم عند كل مسجد وكلوا واشربوا ولا تسرفوا إنه لا يحب المسرفين. O children of Adam, take your adornment at every masjid, and eat and drink, but waste not by extravagance. Certainly Allah likes not al-musrifun. Israf, musrifun. Those who waste by extravagance are called musrifun. So this is the word that you should know. Musrifun, this fa, right? Fa, musrifin. So what is extravagant? Basically, there are two definitions of extravagance, actually a combination of them. One thing is that you waste certain things. When you waste something, that's basically you're saying that it's basically an example of extravagance. And also, second thing, when you are, for example, doing something beyond your means, you don't have the ability, you cannot afford it, and if you are doing it, that is called extravagant, right? So for example, is driving a BMW or Mercedes, is it considered extravagant? That depends. I have a modest salary, modest income. For me, trying to drive such an expensive car might be extravagant, but somebody might be earning millions of dollars, right? For him, he can easily afford it. But for me, I am trying to really cut down a lot of things, and just to show off in front of people I'm buying it, now that is extravagant. I can't afford it, so I should not try to be doing these things like this. Same thing applies to food, actually. So for food, there are two kinds of extravagance. One, we always see, unfortunately, the kind of the parties, the invitations that we get sometimes, and things like that. We waste a lot of food. We eat, and whatever we don't like, we just waste. That is a problem. And also, second definition, extravagant, sometimes we see people, just because of cultural reasons, they try to invite a lot of people and they prepare so many dishes, and even though their financial situation is very difficult, just to be like every other people, they take loans, for example, and invite everybody and cook very fancy food. So that is again extravagant. And again, you have to remember, I just put these two photographs. Recently we had so many droughts in so many African nations last 4 or 5 years, and you heard it many times that There are many families, there are many mothers who used to think that, when they have little bit of food, which child they should feed, right? Which child they should feed. That was how the situation was a few years ago in these African nations. And some parts of the country, it's still there, because of a lot of terrorism and many things, many political problems that happen. Food is not able to be reached in such places. So for them, even a little bit of food that we throw, it's like a big deal. They can survive on it for 2 days. These children, these are not our children. So that's why you can see that you can count the ribs there. We don't really feel it. Just imagine, Naudzubillah, our child shouldn't have to face this. But if it was your child, how would it be? Will you be able to tolerate it? That's food. Hunger is like such a basic thing. So whenever you have this excess food, think about a situation like this. And you can always save and preserve food. If you are eating in a restaurant and if you have you don't want to eat a lot of food, ask the person there in the restaurant, I want to take this home, give me something to put it in. Even if there's a little bit of salad left, I don't want to eat, I'll eat it at home, pack it up for me. Don't waste anything, okay? Because it means a lot. And you're basically, if you are wasting it, it's a clear showing of, ungratefulness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You're not being thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, and if you don't want to eat later on, just as I said before, freeze it or dry it or do something. Do not throw it at all. And then as I mentioned the verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala immediately after saying eat and drink, He mentions extravagance, clearly pointing to the eating and drinking habits of people. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala certainly doesn't like people who waste. Al-musrifun. Yes, brother.
If you have some food and you don't want to throw it out, and you give it to the animals,
yes.
What do you think about that?
That is okay.
Right?
That's okay.
That's not wasting.
That's not. Yeah, that's what people do usually. If they don't have, for example, fridge or freezer or whatever, best thing is to make sure that somebody eats it. If you throw it in the garbage, what happens? It goes into those big garbage areas where they dump everything and they just bury it or do something. So basically, it's a loss of resources. It's just somebody produces it and you're just garbage. It's putting it in garbage. That's not acceptable. It's anything of value cannot be dumped like that. All right. It's the occasion of eating in this particular country. Again, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, basically what I want to mention here is that living in this country, the neighbors, the kind of neighbors we have, sometimes we get invited. So your neighbor comes and says, we have Christmas and we have, a party going on in our house. Please come, you're our neighbor. So what should you do? Should you go? Or should you just, you don't celebrate Christmas, so is it okay to go and participate? You just want to have good relationship with your neighbors, so you just go and want to have fun with them and have good relationship. What's the ruling on that? So answer is no. The occasion of eating, you have to remember, the etiquette is that you have to know what exactly it is. Yes, we want to have very good relationship with our neighbors. We want to help them out even in the depths of night if they need our help. But there is a line. If it's the question of religion, and if it's, we respect their religion, we don't really, don't look at their religion with, with down eyes. We have our own religion, and for them their religion, and we disagree with them. But at the same time, we respect them, but we do not participate in their activities. That's the whole point of our whole religion. We came here for the purpose of religion. Now you're going to the Christmas dinner, and you're basically saying that it's okay, you're also fine, I'm also fine. No, the whole point is that you are not on the right path. So if you cannot say it with your tongue that Islam is the right path, at least do not make them feel that it's okay to do. You are not going, we'll give them something to think about, that there's something wrong, what's wrong. Let me learn about your religion and things like that. Same thing applies with any other festival, which has connections with religion. You cannot participate in that. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the verse I put here, many scholars give this as a reference. Why? وَتَعَانُوا عَلَى الْبِرِّ وَالتَّقْوَى وَلَا تَعَاوَنُوا عَلَى الْإِثْمِ وَالْعُدْوَانِ. Help one another in al-birr and at-taqwa, but do not help one another in sin and transgression. So you're merely going to such parties, such events, you are basically supporting them. You're supporting in that sin. Okay? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is very clear. He said, fear Allah, indeed Allah is severe in penalty. It's a big thing. Don't take it lightly. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't like such kind of transgression. So what is wrong is wrong. So even if it's like a cookie or anything, if they give you, come to your house and say, hey, it's our religious festival, we want to share this with you. We first ask them, is it connected with your religion, festival? Then we do not take it. But if it's just a gift, we take it. So we have to be very clear. And it happens, right, in during the holiday season, usually in our companies, they give gifts, right? I was given like this lottery ticket. I was like amazed. Why are they giving me lottery ticket? And it's just $1 ticket. Some Muslims say that it's just $1. It's not like going to Las Vegas. Doesn't matter. It's 1 billion or $1. Gambling is gambling. It's haram. And some people, one of my boss, like 8 years ago, he gave me a bottle of whiskey during the holiday season. He didn't know that I was a Muslim. He knew I was a Muslim, but he didn't know how serious it is for alcohol. We cannot drink, we cannot sell, we cannot even sit on a table where alcohol is served. So he in fact, there was another person too, he was a Muslim. He said that we don't drink alcohol. So he was like, all his gifts, like he had 2 bottles, and both of us were not taking. He was like very embarrassed. So whatever it is, you have to be clear. Some people are like, okay, I'll just take it so that he doesn't feel bad and I'll just dump it. No. It is such a severe thing. We tell them right away that, sorry, I appreciate your concern for me, but I cannot drink it. Say to them directly. This is how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is very clear here. Do not participate in the sin. Your merely accepting such a gift is basically supporting of such event. Okay? You got to be very clear about that. And also applies the same thing to many Islamic activities as well. People have this crazy events going on sometimes which are bid'ah, right? I don't know, I heard this like after exactly 40 days after the death of a person, the soul comes and does something, so you have to feed so and so many people. I don't know, crazy customs. But these are all nothing from Quran and Sunnah. It's not there. You cannot participate in such events. Again, why? Because it is again helping one another in sin and transgression. Bid'ah is very, very, very dangerous. If it's like a custom, if it's like a belief that it is a religious custom, something that was practiced by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then we should not. But if somebody are like, I just want to have people come over and talk about it and let's have food. So now you see the difference in intention here.
Yeah.
One person thinks that this is an act of religion, act of worship, act of custom that we should follow. That's problematic. That's now comes in under the domain of bid'ah. But if somebody is just like, I want to remember this person, inviting 2-3 friends, let's come together and maybe eat. So now difference of intention is there. The second one is okay, but first one, if you're making an event out of it and making a custom out of it, then it's a problem. It's a bid'ah. It's a very serious issue. Let's look at another one. The last one actually, number 32. Not asking about the source. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he mentioned in this Musnad Ahmad, which is a Sahih hadith. Many people don't know this. When any of you enters upon his Muslim brother and he offers him food, let him eat from his food and not ask about it. Unfortunately, we see many people, they try to be very pious in something. So somebody invites them, they go to their house. Brother, is this halal? Yes. Is this dhabiha? Yes. Which store? And they go on. So this is very insulting. This is very bad etiquette. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he straight away mentioned that when you go, in Islam, the honor of a Muslim is very, very important. You cannot just treat it very lightly. So he said that if he's a Muslim brother, just go eat. Do not ask any questions. You just assume that everything is okay, inshallah. Okay? So that's one thing. And don't even be concerned with where this income is coming from. Show me your tax tax paper. I want to see whether you're going went to a Las Vegas or what. Just leave it between him and Allah. It's between him and Allah. Leave it, and we just assume that this is a good Muslim brother, and we eat. Don't have to go that much distance.